So moving on from that, I just played Honkai Star Rail all week. Like all week, like nothing but.
So,
Um,
so they got you.
Not quite, but and now it infected a bunch of people in my Discord, like a bunch of all my FF14 people are just on it. Um,
I feel like this is not the first time I've heard of uh, I guess the whale or not whale, the like the wave effect of like I got into a gacha thing and then other people are like, oh yeah, that thing. Okay, I'll go check out, see what's going on, and maybe spend a little bit, and then getting a bunch of people back into something where they were trying to not go in to spend money on it.
well, here's the thing. There's a couple things going on with that. First of all, MMO players have downtime and are explicitly weak to other things that are in any way similar. Um, the second thing is, of course, us as powerful influencers, right? Everybody looks to
Mm-hmm.
us.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third thing is obviously things that are free are easy to start. The fourth thing, which is usually not the case, is that the deal is that Honkai Star Rail is excellent as a free to play title or otherwise.
How does it
It
compare to Genshin Impact?
is extraordinarily similar. The interface, like the UI, is exactly the same.
Hmm.
Like exactly the way currency is doled out, the way you roll on things, the way you equip things, the way the portraits are lined out, the way you switch character. Like it is overtly made by Genshin Impact. It is
Unfortunately,
also
it still loses points, however, because whereas Genshin Impact was fine to say, saying the word Honkai Star Rail sucks every time. So
sucks every time, dude.
just on naming alone, I guess it's losing some
I've
points there.
every time I usually just say Star Rail.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
People
Yeah.
call it
Which one was that again? Which Star Rail? There's a lot of them out
honk
there.
honk. Here comes the train. Star Rail. Um, this is like the second game they've named that. They had Honkai Third Impact as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was their first
Apparently.
one. It is now that I've played it about 20 hours of it. Also I've discovered a new word in the gacha space. The new word is dolphins.
Oh, we said that last week.
Oh, we said that last week? Okay,
Yeah,
I
what I was
forgot that we
talking
said
about,
that
I was
last.
talking about like we were like, there's whales, and then there's people who just like minnows who just never bother, and then I was
Yeah.
like, okay, but what about like I'm someone who might be like, I just want one thing, and I'll never spend a dime on this game again. And I kind of was
Yeah.
talking about how like I got Virgil, I don't care about
Yeah, right.
anything
Yeah.
else, and it's like, oh yeah, you can dolphin, you can be a mini
So,
whale for the one thing you want, and then you're done.
yeah. So it has the exact same, like all the gacha elements of the game are identical to Genshin. So you can just any thoughts or feelings you had on that are the same here. It is funny that when you get to the titular train, all the lights in the passenger compartment are highly stylized whales hanging from the ceiling.
That's fucked up.
Uh, and one of the parts of the intro cutscene where you're talking about like the gods of the universe, they just pan to a constellation that's just a big fat
Oh
whale,
no,
and
they're
it's
leaning
it's
into it.
super funny.
Oh
Um,
god, give us your money.
um,
The gods are the fucking richest who have
yeah.
funded. Yeah, oh boy. Okay.
But to break it down is where Genshin Impact was a open world action RPG that I thought was kind of light on the action. Um, Star Rail is scratching the Star Ocean like tails, like itch on that side of the equation. Like it is visually stunning. It is overflowing with really, really interesting writing. Like just constantly fascinating writing. Um and while people I think are massively overestimating its influence, there are definitely parts of the game's side content that I look at and go, this does feel like somebody who was a big fan of Disco Elysium, like
Oh, really?
writing some weird shit.
Okay.
It will go everywhere from every single trash can in the goddamn world has unique dialogue and events associated with it to uh memories that are little stories like from Lost Odyssey sprinkled all over, which reference anything from the pale blue dot to other sci-fi space shit.
Yeah,
To
that sounds like Undertale-ish, I guess, as well to some degree. I think anything that is also like has enough budget can afford to just like pepper their world with lore and
there
personality.
is so much interesting writing. Like it's actually just really
Mm.
wildly impressive. It looks like where Genshin said, "Hey, why don't you explore this gigantic map?" And that's your big draw. Star Rail decided to go, what if you just had the ability to have interesting conversations or writing tropes everywhere at all times?
Hmm.
Um, by contrast, the game's main story is pretty standard so far. Um, with one wildly notable distinction, which gets funnier and funnier the more I play. Hey, you've gone to the underground. Hey, cool Virgil girl with a scythe is going to help you out. And she is going to stand dead center of the frame in every scene in which she's in because she happens to be the limited banner for the version of 1.0.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hey, wow, this boss fight against this robot is fucking incredible. This is the coolest robot you've ever seen. That you can get off the standard banner if you roll 300 times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and it gets funnier and funnier and funnier the more that you watch them finagle cutscenes to
Yeah.
get the more expensive characters into the center of the frame.
Sounds like the modern day equivalent of, hey, the new Transformer toy is out.
Oh,
Can we just
absolutely.
fucking can we zoom in any harder?
Yeah.
Can we make him glow?
Yeah.
um get to your fucking local toy shop, buy it now. What I'm surprised to hear is how much you're discussing writing when I fully would have expected it to be about how much the gameplay will live up to these giant sky battles with Etano circuses and massive crazy choreography.
In reference to
Wasn't there a big cutscene that was like high octane action going
no,
on for
I
really?
think you might be thinking of Honkai Third Impact
Maybe
because that's definitely that
someone
style.
sent in a trailer for what I thought was Honkai Honk Honk, and it was a big old sky
I
battle
now look
thing.
down and see people saying he's not there yet. Okay,
All
that's
right, never
weird.
mind, never mind.
No, it is
It was
Honkai
not
Impact.
Zenless Zone Zero. I remember
Okay,
specifically
got
Zenless Zone Zero. It's
it.
not that. Yeah. Okay. All right. Gotcha.
It's a really really like the battle system is fairly simple, but it's like very appealing and it has a lot of depth to it, particularly with making your team, which obviously feeds into, well, wow, your team would be way better if you had such and such on it. It's just really excellently well made. Like you could easily see this being like a new Star Ocean game. Like you could actually remove all the non-mandatory party members and still see it being a Star Ocean game. And they do, at their credit, they give you like this party member is mandatory, this party member is mandatory, etc. And that goes, right? Um all the type weaknesses for enemies in all the main story content fit the characters they know you're going to have. They don't give you a situation in which there's a boss fight coming up, part of the main story, that has no type weakness to anyone that you're guaranteed going to have.
Okay.
Right?
What is making the synapses fire when you're playing this game? Is it the game moment to moment action in the game, like as you're like unlocking characters, or is it like what would you say is like the thing that you're like, oh, this is what it's doing it at its best?
I would say it is a mixture of the following. First of all, the presentation is fucking immaculate, especially for being on your phone. It is like the best looking JRPG I can think of. It looks gorgeous, and the character designs are like almost all A plus, except for Arlen. Arlen sucks. Fuck Arlen. Nobody likes Arlen. I think it was Buttons who described that MiHoYo has the idea of if your game is going to make $1 billion, it should look like it makes $1 billion,
Mm-hmm.
and it does. It
I am
absolutely
reminded.
does.
I'm reminded when I see like the characters in the roster of like how Grand Blue is like, hey man, if you haven't found the character that you've fallen in love with yet, keep scrolling. We'll get you.
Yeah, yeah.
The list goes long and deep.
Star Rail is definitely like that. Like
Mhm.
there's like even the main cast, like the guarantees, a lot of them are winners. Like genuinely. This obviously feeds into the fact that it's as a gacha game, it is of vital importance to make the characters that you would roll for cool and desirable.
Mhm.
But even beyond that, the way the fights look, the animations on the characters, the way that the interface interacts with it, the way that the auto battle looks, the way that when you turn the game to 2x speed, you discover that everyone's ultimate has a second line read that matches up to the 2x speed, so that it doesn't fast forward or you lose the line read.
Wait, say that again?
Okay, so say somebody does their alt, right? The big fancy animation that would normally take about 10 seconds, right?
Mhm.
Say I'm playing as a Jeopard, he's a shield guy, right? He has one line read for when you're playing the game at normal speed, and he has a completely different line read for when you're playing it at
Wow.
twice speed.
Wow. That's attention to detail. Okay.
Right? It's good. And this it's just bursting with presentational quality, which is a really great first impression, right? The
Mhm.
second thing is that it is fascinating writing all over the place. Like fascinating sci-fi writing like all the time. The main story is like a Tales game in levels of complexity in that it's a standard JRPG. With this interesting thing or this interesting thing.
Mhm.
All the side content, which is like examining every single possible thing in the environment, is really, really interesting.
Okay, you keep saying that. So like can you give me an example of what you mean?
Okay. There is a 10-minute sequence in which you are staying in a shitty hotel and you can walk up to a customer service satisfaction report and your character flashes back to them getting out of an Uber and the Uber guy asking them for 5 stars and you saying how that's a violation of the impartiality of the customer review, that you would never do that. And that's the context to start shitting all over this hotel with the most bullshit customer review ever, while your character is huffing their own fumes about what an impartial Yelp reviewer they are and how they are the most magnanimous, most prescient genius hotel reviewer there ever was, and how you've done everyone a favor. And you
Like
congratulate yourself at the end of this process for having the single most unbiased review in the history of hotel reviews.
played comedically, I'm assuming.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And this is just a throwaway little interaction where if you're in a cutscene in which you're staying in a hotel, you decide to go look at the desk beforehand. There's a sequence in which you have to fucking walk around and in order to get permission to enter a new area, you need to answer trivia questions about the robot settlement. And one of those is, who was the winner of last year's Vagrant Settlement rap contest? And you go, okay. So you go talk to NPCs who will do voiced rap for like multiple minutes in every language the game supports.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not great, but they're a lot better than I would have expected.
Okay. So tons of little not world building side quest voiced things going on
There are
content
like
wise.
45 trash cans and dumpsters on the first planet that
Mm-hmm.
all have unique interactions. And I don't mean like you click on it and goes, this is a trash can, and then you click on the next one and it goes, some people put their trash. I mean, some trash cans have letters in them that you can decide to dig out and put in a mailbox. Some trash cans, your party has a long series of paragraphs describing them talking about you as you root through the trash and what a freak you are, and so on and so forth. It is just drowning in constantly interesting little anecdotes all the time.
But the main quest doesn't have this tone to it.
No, the main quest is somewhat standard. Oh, the planet's frozen over. We got to figure out where the evil MacGuffin is on the planet that's causing the endless winter. Oh no, the government's involved, etc., etc. And it's told relatively well.
Okay.
Right? It's not going to shake the end of the world. It's Star Ocean-ish.
Okay. I'm watching some gameplay of a character named Kafka, and so far she hasn't turned into a giant bug, so I'm a little disappointed. But okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just constantly interesting. All the way down to when I log in every single day, some character texts me some nonsense. Like fucking got a text this morning about characters that I've been dealing with, all in a secret group chat gossiping about somebody and wondering if they're embezzling money because they're getting too many Amazon packages in space.
I mean, that just sounds like a fucking Persona conversation with Ryuji and fucking
Yeah, it sure does.
And
It really, really sure does.
and Gremlin mode going off on
Absolutely.
memes and shit.
There is big I hope no one finds out we're part of the Phantom Thieves being yelled in an open market energy. Also, the weirdest thing is that your character looks like Yu Narukami, or a girl version of Yu Narukami. And you know how in Persona 4 the third option was the weirdo nonsense option for freaks?
Mm-hmm.
That's what this character is. Your main character is Yu Narukami, as if they were picking the weirdo freak answers on every dialogue choice.
Okay. You option 3.
Like where it's like, yes, this character would just dig in a random trash can just to do it.
When you pick different characters, do they have different dialogue and
No, it's always going to assume that it's Stella or Kale, I think, the male and female versions. And it's always going to assume that you're rolling with the party members they gave you for free. Which leads to funny situations in which, with my free rolls, I pulled Jeopard, which meant I was playing as Jeopard when I met Jeopard and got to have a cutscene in which two Jeopards were walking next to each other, talking to each other, though it was talking with my main character's voice instead of Jeopard's voice, because that's who I'm really playing as. It's very much like every party member is like absorbing into your chest when you're not looking, kind of thing.
Are you playing with the controller, or are you just the touch?
I am playing with a controller, and I'm also playing it on my telephone.
Okay.
The number one thing that really stands out extremely strongly, Genshin sucked ass on your phone. Terrible phone game. You could play it on your phone, right? But it was like a action RPG where you were moving and jumping and swinging your goddamn sword. This game is a JRPG where you're doing turn-based fights
Yeah.
that also has a fast forward feature and the most competent auto battle I've ever seen in a game. And will allow you to teleport to your daily whatevers, which means that I can easily pull out my phone at 2 a.m. when I can't sleep, bang out all my dailies on reset.
Battles
in
are
10
menu
minutes.
selections, so
Yeah.
there shouldn't be any issue. What's is the auto battle doing more than just doing physical attacks over and over?
Yeah, it actually is. So it will intelligently use your physical attacks or your special attack. And it will also, you can set it to use your ults or not, and it will use your ults correctly, which is the weirdest thing. So, you'll have a character that has a full, a heal that affects, every party member and does more healing if they're under 30%. So the auto battle is going to tend to wait until one character's at 30% before using it. It's not perfect.
What's the downside?
What's the downside is that it's not perfect, and occasionally they'll blow their ults on like shielded enemies or enemies that can't be damaged or whatnot. So the basic gist of it is that for going through areas that you're overpowered for or running daily content that you're overpowered for, yeah, you turn that auto battle on and just smoke them. Well, as you're doing story content, you are manually controlling your party because it's more difficult. Or if you're doing really hard content, you would actually control your party to make sure that they're doing everything correctly. But it's an extremely competent auto battle thing for the shit that you wouldn't actually want to fight yourself.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. We every day we stray further and further from God's light, and by God's light I mean the most boring part of traditional RPGing. But
Yeah.
like it's like, but we want it, but we also want it to not be boring, but don't make it not. And it's just
at
keep a bit
speed,
of it, but not too much. And that's why I'm just like, oh my god, okay, what do we? Oh, FF7
times speed
perfect
with the auto battle on. If you hit a trash mob, they are gone in 4 seconds. They are done. So there's that, right? All of that content, and then you have, Genshin had its side stuff. The main side mode that they have aimed at this game right now, they'll be adding more later, is a roguelike. It's using the game's battle system, and it's essentially Slay the Spire.
Cool.
And it's good. It's really good. The roguelike elements are pretty good. I don't think they're quite as good as Slay the Spire, but it's a really good start.
Are there any limitations to not buying anything?
What does that mean?
Are you going to hit a wall where you have to grind out something to overcome a hurdle, like a thing to stop you from just going all the way through?
So you will absolutely have to grind because it's a free to play game. That grinding does not necessarily involve cash. It involves dailies, weeklies, using your materials to level up your characters, etc.
The thing is, it's a free-to-play game's implication a couple of years ago meant one thing, but that has changed because now when people go, it's a free-to-play game, but like it's the Riot version of it, then it's like, oh, you get way more than you expect to for free, or like I hear stuff like that about I don't know, I've seen it right with like Runeterra and shit like that. So I'm like, what are the actual? Hey, hold up, we want to make some.
I'll give you a good example right now. In 1.0, and I assume this will carry forward, you don't need to spend a dime to beat all the content. If you want to do the super hard endgame shit, you would hopefully get lucky with your free shit, your free rolls. And the main distinction is damage types, right? So Persona has, your 4 damage types and then light and dark, right? This has, I think, 7, and it's like fire, ice, lightning, earth, wind, imaginary, and quantum, I think, are they. The banner character right now, Sela, is like one of the only characters that does a quantum damage in the game. And she's also wildly broken. Like, fucked broken. Like, absolutely busted. Throw the rest of the team in the trash broken. You don't need them. You don't need them.
It's premium content. You're getting.
Yeah.
Okay. But
So
you're gonna hit your walls.
People are saying there's a Street Fighter 6 open beta.
Yeah, I was just looking into seeing what the announcement was for that.
Wonderful. But yeah, so like, hey, if you get Sele, right, you're gonna roll it. You're gonna fucking roll it because she is busted. And here, probably the most nefarious thing about the whole game is, you have your pity and you have your rolls and all that for the banner characters, and the banner characters will leave for a year until they get rerun. When you do your dailies, and only your dailies, you can use one of your friend's characters.
So there it is.
So when I do my dailies, I get to see just how fucked Sele is compared to the rest of my gang, because every single person I know playing this game but me got her. Man, I have a friend list of about 11 people, all of them.
Well,
everybody but me.
Time to add more friends so that you get access to more characters.
Right.
Wow.
And that's part of the thing. Now, over the long term, it'll always even out. Blah blah blah. If you roll the dice enough times, blah blah blah. They also give you rewards for trying the character out in a training mode. So whenever the banner comes in, they go, "Hey, we will give you, a decent amount of currency rewards if you try the character out and beat a little battle thing with them." Which allows you to see their animation, see their ult, see their voice, see their design, see their etc.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it very much like Genshin. The biggest problem with this game is that it is excellent. Is absolutely excellent, and much more than Genshin. I love space and sci-fi a lot more than fantasy, and I like JRPGs more than I like open world action games. So for the time being, I'm in.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I see some people are like, "Oh, Woolie just needs to see this character, and that's it."
No, it doesn't work like that.
No,
they
you
say
don't.
That in my stream, and I'm like, people don't understand.
If you've been around long enough and you still don't get how this works, then there's no saving you. There's no helping you. Like, it just, have you not seen already how this works? Like, my hooks are particular, man. They're very particular.
That means we need to find the perfect character.
Yeah. Find the ultimate short-haired punch waifu that's gonna do the Dempsey role. I'm like, yeah, that's dope. That's dope, but that's not it. It's not all there is to it. But yeah, all right. There was exactly what I just described in that what was it, Project BBQ trailer, and I was like, yeah, that's fucking super sick.
Are you talking about ZZZ?
Not Zenless Zone Zero. No, Project BBQ was a different thing that they showed a trailer for, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
open beta's only a weekend.
There are genres that like have to step outside of their genre to get me interested. But anyways. Um, not every kind of breadcrumb. Not
Mhm.
most in fact don't work.
I think it's
What?
funny that like Virgil has become such an overwhelming archetype that
Mhm.
like Dimension Cut is like there's going to be a character the character I mentioned, Sele.
Mhm.
It's Virgil with a scythe
Mhm.
and waifu.
Well, um, because I've been accused of calling everything a Virgil, like I'm probably never gonna do that again. So, like, as much as this is becoming
Oh, it's
more
too
and more
late.
real, it's
Oh, it's much too late
hilarious.
now.
But like, you're not gonna hear it from me.